Go.
Welcome to the DVMUG Zoom meeting for August 6th, 2024. My name is Lee Wagner. I'll be hosting today's meeting. We will be using the usual format of news, followed by videos, followed by question and answer and social hour. We'll start with this week's news. This listing of the news items is on the DVMUG bulletin board service, and it's in a PDF format so that if you press on the URLs, it will open the page. Following are synopses of the news items. Apple posts surprisingly strong revenue on the back of strong iPad sales. From Michael Simon of Macworld.com. Tablet sales topped 7 billion, up nearly 25%. On Thursday, Apple reported an impressive 5% year-over-year growth with a quarterly revenue of $85.8 billion. The surprise performer this quarter was the iPad, which recorded its strongest non-holiday quarter since 2020 with more than 7 billion in sales. The other standout was Apple's services division, which continues to grow every quarter. Services posted 24.2 billion in revenue, up slightly over last quarter and more than 10% over last year. Mac sales also grew slightly over the same quarter in 2023, topping 7 billion in sales. Elsewhere, the iPhone was essentially flat, tallying 39.3 billion in sales versus 39.7 billion last year, and wearables, home and accessories, which includes Vision Pro and the Apple Watch, was also down slightly from 8.3 billion to 8.1 billion. Here's how the quarter broke down. iPhone, 39.3 billion, down 1%. iPad, 8.1 billion, up 24%. Mac, 7 billion, up 2%. Wearables, 8.1 billion, down 2%, and services, 24.2 billion, up 14%. Any comments or questions on the news item?
There was a news story, I think this morning, that a judge ruled that the Google payment to Apple for being the default search engine, which is some enormous amount of billions of dollars, is classified as antitrust, and they're going to have to stop doing that or do something different. And that's like a 20% of that services. It would be a huge hit.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, I thought
I don't know that. Okay.
the service number really jumped out.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't
That
know
was
that
in the paper
Apple's going to
today.
get sucked into that, in that if you look at settings in Safari, there is a not vast, but quite a few selections that you can choose as your search engine.
Which nobody does.
Yeah, well, I
Well,
use
Google,
DuckDuckGo.
the whole billions and billions that Google is paying is for them to be the default. So there was talk that what they'll have to do is before you can do any search, it'll pop up and you'll have to choose your search engine. It won't just automatically be Google without you paying any attention or knowing how to change it. That's what they
You
pay
know,
for, that one little thing.
Yeah.
they should have that. I don't know if they should have that option. They should have an option to actually set it to what you want. The way I look at it, I don't want to choose every time I want to search.
No, it'd be a one-time thing,
Yeah, you just click which one you want.
but that would eliminate the billions and billions of dollars for being the default.
But
It's
I
still
went
listed.
I went ahead and set up DuckDuckGo as my mine, and it opens to that every time.
Me
Right.
too.
Okay.
There's a browser in there, or a search engine in there I had never heard of, and I can't remember the name of it. But it offers quite a few.
Yeah, well, if they lose whatever, it's something like 20% of that services number is Google. Google
Yeah.
default payment for that one thing.
Yeah, I think that that one I've never heard of is Ecosia, Ecosia.
Yes, that sounds right.
I didn't even know it was on there until I just looked. Anybody have experience with it?
No.
Hmm.
Try it and give us a report.
Yeah, my phone just melted.
Yeah, the list is Google, Yahoo, Bing, DuckDuckGo, and Ecosia.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of DuckDuckGo?
I love it.
I
And
like
nobody tracks you.
But you get better results when you search?
I don't know better, but I think just as good.
Yeah, it's hard to compare because we're searching with DuckDuckGo and not Google. But it seems quite adequate for almost everything I've tried to search.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, if you get an answer that answers your question, then it's as good as the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, moving
All
on.
right, let's go on to the next news item. Crazy Evil Mac malware poses as Loom and as other popular apps to steal Bitcoin, according to Roman Loyola from Macworld.com. MacPaw's Moonrock Lab issued a report on Thursday about a new Mac malware threat that spreads through Google-sponsored ads. The malware poses as the Mac screen recording app Loom and several other apps. Moonlock Lab believes that this malware campaign is run by a group dubbed Crazy Evil. When searching for Loom on Google, sponsored ads appear that look legitimate, even displaying the legitimate URL for the app at the top of the ad. But the actual URL for the app's link is a near perfect replica and takes the user to a fraudulent site that has been constructed to fool the user. The fake site prominently displays a download button that saves a malicious file with stealer malware on the user's Mac. While Loom appears to be the main app being used to fool users, Moonlock Lab has found that Crazy Evil is attempting to spread its malware through several other apps. Moonlock Lab provided a chart below that shows which apps have been targeted. See the next page.
Does anybody use that?
Well, you notice on this next page, it does show that Chrome and Firefox are both in the field of those that are being involved.
But you have to actually use Loom, right?
Yeah, Safari too.
But I had never even heard of Loom.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Does anybody know anything about Loom?
Just that it says the screen recording app.
Yeah.
So are these
Loom
bad links in a pop-up ad that you click, or is this actually the Google search results show you a bad URL that takes you to a bad place? Do we know?
No.
From the sound of it, it sounds like once you're in Loom, then you get bad ads.
I thought it said it was spreading through Google ads.
Yeah, but on Loom. At least that's what I understood it to be, that you have to be running Loom in order to be a victim of this.
Loom.
I may be wrong. I don't know.
Well, you see on the right-hand side, it does include the Loom apps, but it also includes these other apps.
Yeah.
So it's not clear to me which it is. Well, I guess that's all we know about that. Apple files a motion to dismiss the Department of Justice antitrust lawsuit, citing harm to innovation and user experience, by Chance Miller from 9to5mac.com. Apple has officially filed a motion to dismiss the Department of Justice's antitrust lawsuit filed in May. Apple argues the case should be dismissed because the DOJ's lawsuit does not meet the legal standards required to prove a violation of Section 2 of the Sherman Act. This development follows Apple's questioning the validity of the DOJ's lawsuit, arguing it would harm innovation and deprive consumers of the competitive features that make iPhone distinctive. In the filing, Apple writes, ultimately, this case is foreclosed by long-standing antitrust law. This court should reject the government's invitation to forge a new theory of antitrust liability that no court has previously recognized, based on 5 disparate examples of Apple design choices that do not harm smartphone competition. And to the extent the government seeks to use these 5 examples to seize unprecedented authority to control Apple design choices more broadly, the case is even more far-fetched. Such a sweeping rule, if recognized, would harm innovation and risk depriving customers of the private, safe, and secure experience that differentiates iPhone from every other option in the marketplace. The complaint should be dismissed. And these 5 examples referenced by Apple of the DOJ's accusation of anti-competitive behavior include super apps. Apple limited how developers could categorize and display mini apps in the App Store and their access to Apple's in-app payment system. Cloud streaming apps. Apple initially required streaming apps to be submitted as standalone apps for review rather than in a single app, but later relaxed this requirement. Messaging apps. Apple did not allow third-party messaging apps to use the SMS protocol run in the background while closed, or access the iPhone's camera, and did not develop iMessage for Android. Smartwatches. Apple restricted third-party smartwatches from responding to iPhone notifications, maintaining certain Bluetooth connections, or receiving messages without disabling iMessage, and did not make Apple Watch compatible with Android. Digital wallets. Apple limited third-party digital wallet apps access to sensitive financial information and the NFC antenna used for tap-to-pay functions, reserving this access for Apple Wallet. Apple adds, the government's theory that Apple has somehow violated the antitrust laws by not giving third parties broader access to iPhone runs headlong into black-letter antitrust law, protecting the firm's right to design and control its own product. And that black-letter law is defined as, in common law legal structures, black-letter laws are the well-established legal rules that are certain and no longer disputable. Black-letter law is free from doubt and generally well-known. It also means well-established case law and refers to the basic key components of a subject in the law. So that's what Apple thinks about it. Comments or questions? All right. Are there any other last-minute news items by admin or members? All right, moving on to the videos. This video list is on the BBS and it's in PDF, and the URLs are clickable to get to the video source.
I also put them in the chat. News and the video PDFs are in the chat.
The first video is by Gary Rosenzweig at MacMost. Take advantage of recent files, folders, and applications lists. I'm going to comment in advance that this video is the most everyday practical Mac capability I've recently seen. Let me say Don't knock the dock. It may be more useful than you ever before realized.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's take a look at accessing recent files, folders, applications, and other things on your Mac. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now, when you open a file on your Mac, it could be that you're opening an old file, one that you haven't used for a long time. But it's more likely that you're accessing a file that you recently used. When you go to access something, it's just more probable that the thing that you want to access is something you have recently accessed. Therefore, Apple has made it very easy to access recent things on your Mac. Let's start by taking a look at the Apple menu. In here, there's an item called Recent Items, and there are several sections to this. The first one is Applications. It shows you recently opened applications. Chances are one of these is the application you're going to use next. And just below it, you'll see Documents. So here are files that are also the most recent ones that you accessed. By going to the Apple menu Recent Items, chances are the next action you want to take is one of these things. You'll also find recent items if you go to the File menu in almost any application. So for instance, here in Pages, if I go to File, I could certainly go to Open and then find the file I want. But just underneath Open is Open Recent, and here I'm going to see a list of files. These are the most recently accessed files in Pages. So chances are the one I want to work on next is one of these files, and I don't have to use the Open dialog at all. I can just select it from here. Now, if you do go to Open in an application, you'll get the Open dialog, and here you'll have a location here at the top, and one of the things you'll notice is a section called Recent Places. So this actually shows you a list of folders, locations that is, where you recently accessed files. So chances are if you're trying to open a file, you can find it in a recently used place, and you can get to that in any File Open or File Saved dialog by just clicking here at the top and looking for recent places. Now the dock is also another place where you can find recent items. If you go to an app here in the dock, say Pages, and you click and hold or control click on it, it will bring up a menu, and you'll see the ability to open Pages. You also see a list of recently accessed documents in Pages. So instead of opening Pages and then opening the document, I can just choose the document right here, open it like that, and now Pages launches and it opens that document. Once Pages is open, you can still click and hold here, and while there are more options here, you still have the list of recent documents at the top. Also in the dock on the left, you'll have the Finder, and if you click and hold that, you're going to see a list of recently used folders. So these are probably your most commonly used folders, and if you need to open a Finder window and go to a specific location. Now, depending upon your settings, you may also see some recent items listed in the dock. If you go to System Settings, and then go to Desktop and Dock, there's Show Suggested and Recent Apps in the dock. So now you're going to see this section here, between the left section and the right section. You can see the two lines around it, that will show any apps that you have opened that is not normally in the dock, and also up to 3 apps that are open that are not normally in the dock, but you recently used them. So I launched and quit Chess and Terminal, and you can see now those items are here listed in this special section because they're recently used apps that aren't normally in the dock. Now there's another way to see recently accessed documents in an app. So here I am in Pages. Now, if I invoke Expose, which is Control and then down arrow, I will see a list of recently accessed docs right here, and I can select one and it will open. And you can see I could control down arrow again, and I get the currently open windows here, and I could open another one here, and you can see I've got 2 open now. So Expose shows me the 2 open ones and also still the recents here at the bottom. Also in the Finder, you've got the Go menu. Under Go, you've got recent folders, and you're going to see a list of recent folders. It's the same list that you would find in the dock if you click and hold the Finder. Also, if you're using the Finder and you use Go and then go to Folder or Shift Command G, it brings up this interface here where you can type the path to a folder and then go to that folder. And notice that it actually remembers the recent ones you've typed. So for instance, if I were to type the path to the movies folder in my home folder like that and go to it. Now, if I use go and go to folder, then if I clear it out, see under recents, it shows me that one, and I can just select it. Now, when you're in the Finder, also, you may see a recents item here under favorites in the left sidebar. You can click that to go to the recents view, or you can choose go and then recents, even if it's not in your sidebar. If you select that, then you're going to get a list of recents. Don't confuse this with a folder or location on your Mac. This is not a location. These files are all over the place on your hard drive. For instance, if I select this one, I can see here at the bottom that it is in Documents Projects. But if I select this one, I can see it's in Documents Examples. So this is like doing a search for your most recently opened files and then having a list of them sorted by date with the most recent one first. So it's an easy way to get to all your recent files. Just use the Recents view in the Finder to see them. And if you want it here or don't want it here, you could switch it on or off by going to Finder and then Settings and then go to Sidebar. And this is where you could turn on or off Recents. Now, another way to view recent things is use Spotlight. Just do Command Space to bring up a Spotlight search. Now, if I were to search for something, like say type test, one of the things it's going to show me is documents, and it's going to give me a list of documents here with show more next to it. The list it shows me is going to favor recent documents heavily. So these suggestions here are going to be recent ones. Now I could always click show more and get a full file search on this, but it is interesting to note that your Spotlight results are actually showing you recent items. Furthermore, you could do something like search for pages and then look under documents, and it's going to show you pages documents. And you can see here, the little short list is the most recent ones. If I were to click show more, it's going to do the full search in the Finder, and note that it can sort easily by date last opened. So you could see your most recent things in any search that you do by having the date last opened column here and sorting by it. If you don't see date last opened after doing a Finder search, you can always control click right here in the headers and make sure date last opened is checked. Now, most of the time when you're viewing recent items, there's a certain number of them, like 10 right here. You have control of that. You can go to System Settings, then under Control Center, if you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see Recent Documents, Applications, and Servers. And there's a setting for that here. So you can set it to the default 10, or you can go all the way up to 50 to make those lists really long. And a lot of different recent lists will obey this number here, including choosing none, where it actually doesn't show recents at all. If I chose none here, this menu would actually just disappear. So if you don't see it there, maybe that's why. Now, there are other places where it could be handy to access recent items, for instance, in a browser. All browsers have a browser history. Like here in Safari, you can go to the History menu, and you could see the recent history, and then you have a variety of different days here below as well. You can also choose Show All History, and it'll just give you a big list. This is particularly handy if you want to go revisit some web pages from earlier in the day, or maybe yesterday or the day before. Instead of trying to remember where you went, you could just use Show All History and then choose the web pages from there. You'll find recents in other places as well. For instance, in Pages, if you go to the template chooser to choose a new document, you're going to end up with a set of recents here at the top. Notice it's an item right here. So it's going to notice the recent templates that you've used. Most people only use a handful of templates in Pages, so chances are the one you need next is probably just one of these. And here the same is true in Numbers as well. You can see here recents at the top. This is all my recently used templates. So instead of going through all of these, chances are I can find the one I want right here. Here's the Freeform app, and the Freeform app here under the list of boards has a list of recent boards. The Notes app also has recents here in the left sidebar for easy access to your most recently used notes. So look for different ways that recent items are shown in the apps that you use the most. You'll find that going to these recent lists and finding what you need there can be a lot quicker than using, say, File Open or looking at the entire list of items available to you. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
It never ever occurred to me to click and hold on the Finder in the dock, or to right click on it to see all the recent folders. That's that alone was worth the price of admission. You're muted, Lee.
Same here.
Oh, no, that's precisely my point. You know, 2 weeks ago I did something, but I don't remember precisely the title. So Command F doesn't necessarily find it real easily. But as you noted, you can select the number of items that are listed when you press and hold on the dock, and that number goes up to 50. And so you can get a previous document clear up to the last 50. Furthermore, even if the document that you're after is not precisely the one you want, it may be the formatting that you want for a new document. So you can gain access to all of your formatting you have done on previous documents, even if you're going on to a new one. It's just very useful.
Mhm.
Any more questions or comments?
Yes, I wanted to know. So in the dock, the most recent open applications in the lower right, can you control the number of those, or is that always fixed to 5?
You go to the control center and change the number, and it'll go up to 50, as many as you want.
Or the lower right-hand side of the dock?
I thought he said it's limited to 3.
Oh, yes. Well, you meant that non-regular apps. That's limited to 3.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Mhm. More comments? On we go. Second video is Ellen Sweeney. Ellen's tips for iOS, master iPhone screenshots and screen recordings.
In this video, I'll walk you through how to crop a screenshot or screen recording on your iPhone and iPad before saving or sharing it. Welcome to Ellen's Tips for iOS, where I help seniors master their iPhones and iPads. If you find the video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Taking a screenshot allows you to view it later, share it with others, or attach it to documents. To take a screenshot, all you need to do is push and hold on your power button on the side of the phone and the volume up button on the side of the phone at the same time. And when you do, you'll see a thumbnail appears in the bottom left-hand corner. Go ahead and tap on that, and it automatically brings up your screenshot. Using the 4 corners or the middle tabs, you can crop your screenshot by dragging that to the position that you want to crop. So I'm going to go ahead and just crop it at this position. And basically what I'm doing is just dragging a corner up and letting go. And now it's automatically going to be cropped to that particular position. And when I'm finished, I can go ahead and tap on Done. You could also use the tools located along the bottom to draw on the screenshot if you want to, but for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and crop this screenshot. When I'm finished, I'll tap Done, and now I get some options available. I can go ahead and save it to Photos, I can save it to Files, I can save it to a quick note, I can copy and delete it, or I could just go ahead and delete the screenshot. At this point, I'm just going to say Save to Photos. Once I do, it automatically removes the screenshot from my screen, and it's now saved to the Photos app. The easiest way to locate our cropped screenshot is to go ahead and open the Photos app, tap Albums along the bottom, scroll down until you see Media Types, locate Screenshots, go ahead and tap on it, and in the lower right corner will be the newest screenshot that we've taken and cropped. If I want to see it, all I need to do is tap to open. If I wanted to record my iPhone screen, I would use the screen recording icon in the control center. And to do that, I would swipe down from the upper right corner of the screen to access the control center. I would locate the screen recording icon, which is right here. If I want to use the microphone, I would push and hold, and I could turn the microphone on. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to come out of that screen, and now all I need to do is push it or tap on it, and now you'll see a countdown begin in the dynamic island. The icon becomes red, and we're now recording our screen. So if I tap out of the control center, and if I just swipe around and I open Safari, if I swipe out of Safari, the screen recording is happening right now. You'll see that the red dot up in the dynamic island is there. If I go ahead and I tap on the dynamic island, I can now tap the stop button to stop recording. I'll go ahead and do that. Automatically, it says recording saved to photos. And so now to locate that recording again, I'm going to open the Photos app. I'm going to make sure I have albums highlighted. I'm going to tap on screen recordings. So locate media types, tap on screen recordings. And then down here in the bottom right corner is our newest screen recording. If I tap on that, that screen recording will begin to play. To edit or crop that screen recording, I'm going to go ahead and tap on it to open. It immediately begins to play. I'm going to pause it for a second, and I'm going to tap on edit in the upper right corner. When I do, you come into the options area. I could adjust the brightness of the screen setting. I could add filters. I can adjust the timeline. So if I want to shorten that screen recording, I can tap on either of the arrows on either side, and I can crop that in if I want to. And when I let go, I can tap on done, and it'll automatically save it at that position. I can crop it the same way I crop a screenshot by tapping crop in the bottom right corner. And again, you can straighten if you want to. You can tap on straighten, and that would straighten it. I can adjust by using the corner or middle tabs, and so only that portion of the screen would be available during the recording. So it's very simple. Once I tap on done, so make the adjustments that you want, whether it's filters or brightness or cropping. And then when you're finished, go ahead and tap on done, and it'll save the new settings back to the Photos app. If I tap on it again or I tap on edit, you'll notice revert appears in the upper right hand corner. I can tap on that, and it'll revert that screen recording to the original recording. Takes a couple of seconds, and now it's removed all of the edits and the screen recording as if it was when we first recorded it. There are many options for sharing your screenshots, photos, or screen recordings on the iPhone and iPad. You can share via email, documents, messages, and even apps. I'll cover a few of these to get you started. If we wanted to share via email or messages, it's very simple. So right now I'm in the Photos app. I'm going to go ahead and tap on screenshots, but this applies to any photo. I'm going to tap on screenshots. I'm going to choose a screenshot. So I'll just choose the one that we did. And in the bottom left corner, you see the share icon. You can go ahead and tap on that. And then you can choose to share via messages, mail, Spark, which is my email, Journal. So there are many options here that allow you to share. When you're finished, you would, so right now, let me just tap on messages and it adds that one photo. But what if you wanted to do multiple photos? Well, it's just as simple. Let me close out of that for a second and come back to all of my screenshots. If I tap select in the upper right corner, let me show you that again. Select in the upper right corner. And then if I just choose some of the screenshots, and now I hit the share icon in the bottom left corner, all of those photos will appear. I can choose messages and it'll automatically add all of them to my message. I can type in the person's name and then I would go ahead and hit the send button. I'm going to cancel that. If I wanted to share it via mail, I would just tap on the mail option, add the person that I want to send it to, and all of those photos have been added to my mail. So you can select one photo or multiple photos to share them. It's also very easy to share photos or screen recordings to an app. So let's say I took some photos and I want to add them to my journaling app. If I just select a couple of the photos and I tap on the share icon, then I would scroll until I saw the journal app. I'll tap on the journal app. And now all of those photos have been added to today's journal, and I can begin typing or writing something about those photos if I want to. And then once I'm finished, I would tap on save, and that entry would be saved to the journal along with the media that I attached. There are other methods for sharing screenshots, photos, or screen recordings inside of apps. So in this case, I'm just going to use the Notes app as an example. So if I open the Notes app and I tap on a new note in the bottom right corner, if I want to add a photo or video, if I tap on the camera icon, a pop-up will appear and it gives me some options. If I tap on choose photo or video, my most recent photos and videos will show. I can just tap on it and say add. I could choose multiple if I wanted to. And once I do, that particular photo has been added to a new note in the Notes app. I can type some words and description about that photo if I want. And then when I'm finished, I would go ahead and tap on done in the upper right corner. And if I come back to all of my notes, you'll see that there's a new note at the top, and it's the cropped photo that we did a little earlier. In this video, we've covered the essential steps for cropping screenshots and screen recordings on your iPhone, and it applies to your iPad as well, and various methods for sharing them. Following these simple instructions, you can easily customize your images and videos before sharing them with friends, colleagues, or social media. Whether you're using the Photos app, email, or messages, or integrating them into apps like Notes or your Journal app, there's a method that suits your needs. So next time you capture something important on your device, you'll know exactly how to crop it to perfection and share it with ease. Happy cropping and sharing. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Any comments or questions?
– That's a long video,
Yeah,
a
really
lot
long.
of detail, not like her usually.
Yeah. Very clearly laid out, though.
The thing I miss about editing the photos was it used to have a little magnifier window. So if I was telling one of the students or somebody says, what app are you using? I can go to the page, do a screenshot, edit it, and I could magnify that app so they know what it looked like. It's not there anymore, so I don't know there are ways to put like an arrow down to point which app you're looking at, but I missed that little magnifier window that disappeared. I guess just me.
Not
What?
available in
Are
the,
you saying it's not there anymore?
Nope. When you get to the edit parts, then you tap that little plus at the bottom, that markup, and then tap the plus at the bottom. You have add sticker, description, text, signature, and shape. And the shape is opaque. You can't make it transparent. Like I said, I used the other one quite a bit, so I noticed when it was gone. I think when 17 came out, it disappeared. It bit the dust.
there's nothing you can use in that handicap preferences with settings, what they're called.
I'm sorry, Jan. I don't know what you're referring to.
What's the name for the handicap department? Or the preference?
Accessibility.
Accessibility. Yeah.
Accessibility.
I think they had something that was a magnifying glass, but I don't know if you could use it this way.
There's a magnifier that you can enable.
Sure. But like I said, it was easy when it was just under edit under the photograph.
It was there.
Yeah, it makes me so mad when they take away things that were wonderful.
Yeah. You know, it's like when a restaurant they take away your favorite food. Well,
yeah.
it's because you were the only one that liked it. Nobody else liked it.
On the supermarkets and Costco,
Yeah.
everybody does it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Trader Joe's is the worst for that.
Who?
Trader Joe's, they always take away people's
Yes,
favorite
yeah.
Trader Joe's items.
Well, send feedback.
I do. It never works.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Okay, moving on to
Every
the third
year.
video by Tim Boland of iPhone Tips for Seniors. And this is a reminders app, a reminders video, because you've probably seen some of these things before, but it is kind of refreshing to be reminded.
Like you, I watch YouTube a lot, and by a lot, I mean every day. And I'm always seeing these videos containing handy little iPhone tips I wish I could remember. And the reason I don't remember them is because, you know, I don't spend all day, every day on my iPhone. Anyway, I really do want to remember this stuff when they pop up, and to help me do that, I decided to make this video. Maybe you already know these tips but have forgotten them, or maybe they're all new to you. Either way, stick around for this short video to learn 7 handy iPhone tips. Hi, my name is Rich, and I make easy to follow videos on how to use your iPhone and iPad. And if that's something that might interest you, please consider subscribing. We're growing. And besides, you know, unlike the newspaper when you were a kid, subscribing to my channel, it's free. Okay, let's jump in. So first up are a couple of tips on Safari. If you open Safari and you're searching for a website, so in this case I'm going to search for the Bengals. And you pull up something on the web and you open a website. And now if you go to it, you can see that there's advertisements popping up all over the place. You have to wait for them to load, and then even as you scroll down, they show up down here. But if you go down here where the little A's are right there and you tap on that, you can tap on Show Reader View, and all of a sudden all of those ads are gone, and you can just actually read the story. And look at that. Look how short this story is. You would have scrolled forever to get to all of this because there were so many ads on it, but just being in Reader View takes that all away. And if you want to get back out of Reader View, you can just tap on the 2 little A's again and tap on Hide Reader, and now you're back to where all the ads are and all of this kind of stuff popping up all over the place. You know, sometimes I like to just send a website article to my daughter or my father or something like that. And a good way to do that, you can just tap right here where the website is listed, tap copy, and then go over to your website, and you can just tap and paste and hit enter, and just like that, the the article is gone and you just copied it. And that's just a couple of little handy tips for Safari. Next tip is in notes. I'm just going to show you something. If you open up a note and you've got some text in there and you need to correct something, if you just double tap on a word like that, it will select the word. And then you can go down here and you can type and you can correct the word. Or you can copy it or whatever you want to do. But if you triple tap, you can select the whole paragraph. Just like that. And of course, you can then copy it and you can paste it somewhere else. Just like this. And you've done that, or you can send it in a message or something like that. So again, double tap, one word, triple tap, the whole paragraph. Pretty simple, handy too.
Right.
So this is a big one for me. I often am typing a text or typing a note, and then I go back and I read it and I've done something wrong, and so I want to put my cursor in there so that I can correct the word, and I can't quite get the stupid cursor to be where it needs to be. But I don't know if you know this, but if you tap and hold on the space bar like that, you can just begin to move that around anywhere you want and place it. It gets so easy. Just like that. Again, tap and hold the space bar and just slide around. And then you can go in and make the correction. Just like that. All by tapping on the space bar and holding. Man, I wish I could remember that. Another little tip that you might not know about is that you have the ability to mark up photographs. Sometimes I'll send a photograph and it'll have a whole bunch of stuff in it and I want my wife to just see part of it. And this is how this works. If you go into Photos, and I'm going to go to my albums and maybe favorites, and I'll open up this picture. So I was in Chicago recently and I took a picture looking down from the Sears Tower at the Hancock Tower right there. And I wanted to show my wife. Of course, she's not going to be able to pick out which is the Hancock Tower there, so I'm just going to go into Edit. And then wherever you see this little pencil marker right here, you can just tap on it. And I'm going to choose this pen right here. And then I'm going to come and circle the Hancock Tower, and I'm just going to hold it for a second, and it turns it into a circle. And you can draw an arrow like that and hold, and there you go. And then you can just click done and you can send it. Just an easy way to mark up a photograph. Here's one that's kind of handy. When you want to turn on the flashlight, you can just press and hold for Siri. Turn on the flashlight. And there you go, just like that. Hold again. Turn off the flashlight. And there you go. And that's a pretty cool little tip. That way, if you have it in your hand and you can just hold the side button and bring up Siri and ask for the flashlight rather than sliding all around and trying to get the flashlight turned on. Okay, the next tip is just a quick little tip on photos. If you open up Photos and you're looking at your library and you have lots of pictures in here and you're scrolling, and you want to get all the way to the beginning of your photos, if you just tap and touch the top, just like that, now you're all the way to the beginning of your photos. And I've got literally thousands in here. If you tap down at the bottom, you'll go all the way to the bottom. So I tapped on all photos there, and I tapped on top there, and all photos there, and it just takes you back and forth quickly. And that's a handy little tool when you're way up here and then you're wanting to show a photo that you've recently taken. Just tap on all photos and now you're back to the beginning. That's just a handy little tip. I love the weather app, and there's all kinds of information in there, but there's some things that are kind of hidden. If you tap on weather and you bring up the weather, you can see the temperature and you get some information in here. But there's a little folded map icon down here. And if you tap on that little folded icon, suddenly you can get information. This is all about precipitation, and it's a live forecast going along here. And if you want to look at something besides precipitation, you can tap on this little stack of papers here and choose temperature. And now you're going to see what the temperature is all over, a temperature map. You can also go to air quality and see what the air quality is, and you can go to winds and see what the winds are and the directions that they're flowing. And all of that's kind of hidden inside the weather app. But if you're into weather, it's a cool little thing. All right, this last little tip is a bonus tip. If you're like me, when you want to close apps, you slide up from the bottom and then you begin just flicking them like this. But did you know that you can actually use 2 fingers or 3 fingers and swipe more? So you can take 2, close 2 apps at one time. Or if you're dexterous enough, you can take 3 fingers and slide up like that. And now you can close apps a lot faster, just like that. How handy is that? So I knew about most of these tips. I'd just forgotten them because I don't use them often enough. I hope that making this video will help sear them into my brain. I hope it helps you remember too. Okay, that's a wrap on this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
There were some good tips in there.
Yeah. I wonder
But
what operating
I don't
system.
know why you didn't just say, Siri, turn on the flashlight.
Yeah. There is one thing he forgot. There is one more way to move the cursor around in some text, and that's to touch a word, which is going to make you select with 2 lines. You bring those 2 lines together to one, and then you can move the cursor any place. I mean, the up and down part of it any place you want.
What do you mean bring them together as one? What was that?
Yeah, when you touch the word, it defaults to selecting that word, and there's 2 lines, 2 yellow lines. You move the 2 yellow lines. You grab one of them, touch one of them, move it to the other, and it becomes a cursor for you to move any place you want.
Hmm.
You don't have to hold the space until it appears in your text. That's what I do.
I wonder what operating system he was using, because I was following along there and I didn't have the same options that he had on some of it.
I'm sure he's using the latest.
Which one was different for you,
Unless
Mike?
it's 18. Well, you
I
mentioned
don't
that.
know. He didn't say he was using beta. I looked into his stuff and he has had a video for 18 coming feature. So he's wouldn't do that
Yeah.
in one that he didn't
Well, let me
say.
check and see what I got. But
Well, what's the date of the video? That'll give you a hint.
Well, Mike, which one didn't work for you the way he showed?
well, quite frankly, I wasn't taking notes, but I was going along going like if you have like I said, well, I'm going to have to drop it because I didn't take notes on which one wasn't. I go, well, that's not working. And I was too busy looking at the next item he was showing to see if anything else. Just like he was talking, well, he's talking about like with 2 fingers on something, on notes or something, and then you get a whole page. I don't get that. Or 3 fingers. If I'm on notes and I tap 3 fingers, it just magnifies it.
No, he was saying 2 or 3 fingers to swipe up to kill multiple apps at one time.
Okay, well then, like I said, my mind isn't working that great, and my memory isn't good when I was trying to also follow that. Next time I'll take notes.
You
that
may have
actually-
programmed.
That's,
You may have
that's cool. Sorry, go ahead.
He may have programmed the 3-finger swipe to bring up the magnifier instead of allowing it to close multiple apps.
No, I'm talking about 3 fingers in a note or something. But like I said, that's just a guess on my part because, like I said, unfortunately, when this was going on, I wasn't taking notes. My apologies.
That's kind of a cool feature. I often have many apps open and I'll swipe them up one at a time to clear them out. But doing
There's
2
no
at a
need to
time-
clear them. No
There's
need to close.
Yeah, the days are gone when it used to be taking up your battery life and stuff. Apple has come out repeatedly and said, it's just keeping them open so you can access them later.
Yeah, the recommendation now is don't do that.
Yeah, you don't need to do that anymore.
I still like to do it just so I don't have them all in,
Sure.
so that I can get them just out of the way.
I think the record at the bar was 67.
Record. Okay.
Because I was showing some people back then, I was going, hey, have you seen this? This is how you shut those. Oh, you mean they don't close automatically? No. Let's see how many you got. Bum, 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 bum. 67 was the record.
I like about going to the top and the bottom of your all photos.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. I couldn't find, when I went to photos, my photos, going to the top was really cool. That way I can go up there. You tap near the dynamic island, it goes there. I didn't see how you tap at the bottom to get to the bottom though.
You click on all.
Okay, let me get back here. Where am I?
That
Album?
won't work anymore in version 18 because they've redone photos completely.
I don't see an all anywhere.
So in your library under all, there's years, months, days, all
Years, months, days, all.
across the bottom of the screen.
I open up my recents.
No, I click in library.
Library. Let me find library.
Bottom left tab.
Oh, okay. I tap albums and I get up to recents. Okay, he was going library and then all photos. Okay, that makes more sense. I usually go by albums instead of library. I stand corrected on that one.
All right, so we're moving on. Fourth video is by Gary Rosenzweig at MacMost. And the video is right-click on a MacBook trackpad. Maybe, yeah.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you the different ways you can right-click on a trackpad on a Mac. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now you may know that there are two ways to click on computers. There's the primary click, also known as just the regular click or left click. But there's also a secondary click, usually called a right click. And on, say, a Windows computer, you might have a mouse, and that may actually have a left and right mouse button. So it's pretty clear that the right click is to click on the right button. But Macs don't have left and right buttons. In fact, Apple mice don't even have any buttons at all. You just click on the whole surface of the mouse. And trackpads, of course, you just click wherever it is that your finger happens to be. And this is just a regular click, also known as a left click. So if you've got a trackpad, how do you right click? Well, first let's take a look at what a right click actually is. So let's say I'm here in the Finder and I want to select a file. I would just do a regular click or left click to select a file like that. If I want to select another file, I would click that. But on a Mac, if you want to right click, or the correct term would be secondary click, you would be doing something different. You wouldn't be just selecting the file, but you'd actually be bringing up a context menu here. So this is for this file here, but if I did it, say, for the desktop, by right click or secondary click on the desktop, you can see it brings up a context menu that has to do with what I've clicked on, the desktop. And context menu is the case in most situations. For instance, here I am in Pages, and if I use the secondary click here, and you can see I secondary clicked on this word, it didn't just select the word, it actually brought up this context menu with different things I could do with this object. Here I am in Numbers, and if I were to use secondary click on this cell, you could see it brings up a context menu there. And here I am in Photos. A secondary click on a photo also brings up a context menu. Now, not all apps use the secondary click for context menu. For instance, a game may assign a different action for the secondary or right click than it would for a regular click. So how do you do the secondary click on a Mac trackpad if there are no buttons? There's no left button for a left click and right button for a right click. You just press down with your finger anywhere on the trackpad, and that seems to do a regular or left click. So the default way to do it, and it's probably set up this way on your Mac, is to, instead of using one finger to click, use two fingers to click. So if I click with one finger, I get the left click. If I click with two fingers, I get the right click. And you could see this if you go to the Apple menu and then System Settings, and then scroll down on the left side until you find Trackpad. And trackpad is going to have different options depending upon which trackpad you've got. I'm using the Magic Trackpad connected to my Mac Studio. You might be using the trackpad on your MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, but older models will have different capabilities. So what you see here for each of these 3 sections is going to be different depending upon your hardware. But under Point and Click, the first tab here, you should see Secondary Click. That's the official name. After all, since Macs never really had mice with buttons, calling it right click wouldn't make any sense. There's never been any such thing as a right mouse button really on a Mac. And you can see here, it's set by default to click with 2 fingers. But you have options. You can select it, and you could have it be a click in the bottom right corner or a click in the bottom left corner. So if you prefer to have those, then you can switch it. Whichever one you choose, while you have your pointer over this item here, you're going to actually see a demonstration there at the top. So you can see the 2 blue circles indicating 2 fingers clicking at the same time on the trackpad. But there are even more options than that. On modern trackpads, you have the option to tap to click. If you turn that on, then instead of having to press down with 1 finger for a click, you can lightly tap it. A quick little tap will act as a click. And when you do that, notice that it also changes the options for secondary click. Now you can see it's click and tap with 2 fingers instead of just click with 2 fingers. Notice also that one of the options here is off. So why would you want to turn this off? Well, it could be because maybe you often accidentally use the secondary click and you just want to have it off so it never triggers. But if you do have it off, how is there a way to access these context menus? Well, you can do it by using a modifier key on the keyboard. If you hold the control key down and then do a regular click with 1 finger, it will change that click to a secondary click. So holding the control key down, keep in mind it's the control key, not the command key. You can do a regular click and it acts like you're clicking with 2 fingers. And this is true in 99% of cases, although occasionally there are some things where a control click doesn't work as a secondary click. So keep that in mind. If it's not working, it might be one of those cases. Now there is another option to secondary click. You can actually use a key on the keyboard. Now this is an accessibility function, so you normally wouldn't want to use this, but if those other options aren't going to work for you, then you can try it. So go into System Settings and go to Accessibility, and then go down to Motor and then Pointer Control. Then look for Alternate Pointer Actions. If you click on the I button next to it, you see that you can configure a key to work as the left click and the right click. By default, these are F11 and F12. So let's go and try that by turning this on. So now if I were to move over here to the desktop, I could use 2 fingers on my trackpad and bring up the context menu. I could use Control and then a regular click to bring up the context menu. But I could also use F12 to do it. Now, you may have to use the FN or globe key to make F12 the actual F12 key. I've got it set so that F12 is volume up. So it's a feature key, not a function key. So FN and F12, that brings up the context menu. To change how that works, you can go to Keyboard in System Preferences. And then when you're there, go to Keyboard Shortcuts, look for function keys, and then turn this on. Now, F12 will act as the F12 key, not volume up. And if I want to do volume up, then I would hold down the FN or globe key to turn this into the volume up key. So there you go. For most people, it's just a matter of using 2 fingers on the trackpad to right click, but you can also control and single finger click on the trackpad or change the options in System Settings trackpad. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Can somebody explain the tap to click thing? I don't understand what's different about tap to click than just clicking with your finger on the trackpad.
You just don't have to push as hard on the trackpad.
Yeah. The unfortunate part is sometimes just putting your finger on the trackpad will count as a click when you don't really want it. It's one of those things.
That often happens to me.
Used to a trackpad when they first start using it, they'll drag their fingers, and that's multiple. So there's all kinds of things you can set in the trackpad settings about swiping with multiple fingers, and it does stuff. So sometimes you got to turn that stuff off if you don't use it, so you don't trigger it.
And I have one other question about that. So we was talking about using the F12 instead of as a click. If you're doing that, how do you know which window is active, whether you're on the desktop or in that he had a settings window open?
It was wherever the pointer was.
Okay.
Seems like an awkward way to do it.
It
Well, I
only
guess
applies to the active window, I guess. In other words, if you had multiple windows open, it's not going to apply to that number one. It's going to apply to number three. If number three is the active window.
No, it's wherever the pointer is pointing.
Well, yeah, that makes it the active. Yeah, okay.
So I guess you'd only do that if you had like motor problems or something like that and couldn't really deal with the trackpad.
Now, isn't control click basically the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah, two finger, one thing. I control click, you get the same options. I think.
But
I
that
mean, mine-
requires two hands.
Right. Well, that's cool. That's you got a point there.
He said that Macs have never had a right click, but that's not true. I mean, their mice, they might not have had two physical buttons, but they definitely had a right click function.
Still do, absolutely. It's like it doesn't look like it, but you can push on the right side of a Magic Mouse, and you can turn that off if you're used to a one. I use a one button Apple Ancient mouse, and I just use control click for right click because it works everywhere on the trackpads and works everywhere. It's the same when I switch back and forth.
This is my idea of a good mouse.
Left and right. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's a nice mouse.
Oh,
Thumb wheel.
this old mouse right here. Let's see, where's my camera? This old
There you go.
one
Yeah,
button
look at this.
mouse,
Yeah,
Apple
right
mouse,
here.
no scrollers, no nothing.
I use a two button mouse and have the right button set for a double click.
So you have to hold the Option key to get a right click.
Control key.
Yeah, control will give you right click with the left button. The right button, I use third-party software so I can set the right button to double click.
Ken, are you too lazy to do two clicks?
Yes.
Aren't we all? No, I'll take it back.
Too much digital manipulation.
Yeah.
To each his own.
I'm ready for. I don't want to do anything. I want this thing to read my mind. Yeah, not funny.
Moving on.
That's coming.
That's coming. Oh boy.
Moving on.
Fifth video is Ellen Sweeney with Ellen's Tips for iOS. A live speech on the iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch. Now, apparently, it would seem that this capability built into the iOS
Too many.
not be directly applicable to any of our DVMUG membership, but Apple considered it worthy of developing, and I thought it worth 8 minutes of your time to know of its existence.
In this video, I'll explain everything you need to know about using the live speech feature on your iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch. Live speech is another accessibility feature that lets you type anything you want to say and have the device speak whatever you type. This feature works well for people who have difficulty speaking and can be used during FaceTime calls, standard calls, or even calls made with WhatsApp. Welcome to Ellen's Tips for iOS, where I help seniors master their iPhones and iPads. If you find the video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Let's start by turning on live speech. And to do this, you'll need to turn it on individually on each device that you intend to use it. So I'm on my iPhone. This will also work for your iPad. You'll tap on Settings. You'll tap on Accessibility. Scroll down until you see Live Speech. Tap on that. Toggle the switch on, and then tap under the Voices area, and here you can go ahead and choose whichever voice you want to use. To activate live speech on the iPhone or iPad, once you've activated in the settings, you're going to triple click on the side button, which is your power button. So I'll go ahead and do that. And now you'll see the type to speak box appears above the keyboard. I can add in a phrase. And once I do, I can tap on send, and it will repeat what I've typed back. How are you? So that's how to do it on the iPhone or iPad. Live speech can also be used on the Apple Watch, and here's how you would set it up. I'm going to push on the digital crown to come into the apps. I'm going to scroll until I see the Settings app. I'm going to tap on that. I want to make sure that I'm in the accessibility, so I'll tap on accessibility. Then I'm going to scroll all the way towards the bottom, and you'll see live speech. I'll go ahead and tap on live speech, and then I'll toggle that switch on. So to activate it on the Apple Watch, you'll triple click on the digital crown the same way we did with the side button. So let me see if I can get it to work. You'll see that the enter text to speak comes up. If I tap on that, I can see that I can use either the microphone or the keyboard. I can add a phrase. I can go ahead and tap on send. So let's see if I do this. How are you? And if I tap on send, it comes up on the screen. So it actually listened to everything I said. So it comes up on the screen, and then it goes ahead and reads what you've typed in on the Apple Watch. To save time, you can add words or sentences that you frequently use and add them to your favorites. And your favorite phrases, they'll sync across all your devices using iCloud. So you only need to save them to one device to have access on all of them. And so here's how you would do that. I'll go ahead and I'll open the Settings app. I'll tap Accessibility. I'll scroll down until I see Live Speech. I'll tap on that, and I'll tap on Favorite Phrases, and you'll see that I've added some in already. If I wanted to edit them, I could just tap into them and edit. If I want to add a new phrase, tap on the plus button, add your phrase, and then you would tap on Save. And if you wanted to delete any of the phrases, tap Edit, tap on the red circle, and then go ahead and tap on Delete. To use your saved phrases or favorite phrases on the iPhone or iPad, you're going to do the same thing. Triple click on the side button. The type to speak box will appear. Tap on Phrases. Now choose your favorite phrase. I'm doing well. And it'll automatically speak to you. When you're finished, you could go back to the keyboard and type something else if you wanted to. And when you're all through, just tap on the X. To use your saved phrases on the Apple Watch, same thing, triple click on the digital crown. I sometimes have a hard time doing it, but there it is. And below favorites, you'll see there are your saved phrases. What time will you be here? What time will you be? And then I can tap on the X to get out of it. Triple click again. Oops, having a tough time. There we are to get back in. I can tap into the screen. I can go ahead and type it in or use the microphone. And so I can tap on cancel, and I'll come back to the text area and where my favorites are located, and you can see that they have synced across both the iPhone, the iPad, and my Apple Watch. You can also train your iPhone or iPad to create a replica of your actual voice if you prefer something other than the pre-built options. Once completed, you can select your personal voice as the live speech option. So to create a personal voice, you're going to come into the Settings app, you're going to tap on Accessibility, you're going to scroll down and choose Personal Voice under Speech. You can toggle on the switch to say share across devices or allow apps to request to use. Tap on Create Personal Voice. I'm going to enter in my passcode, and now you'll see that you need to read 150 phrases aloud, which may take about 15 minutes. And so once you're ready, you'll tap Continue, and you'll begin to create your own personal voice. You can also use live speech on your iPhone or iPad during a FaceTime call, and you'll do it in the same manner. So as you can see right now, I'm inside of a FaceTime call, and if I triple click on the button, the side button, you'll see that the type to speak box appears. I can tap on phrases if I want, and then I can choose one and it'll read it. And so that's how you would use live speech during a FaceTime call. Live speech is an excellent tool for seniors, offering accessible communication despite speech difficulties. The versatile feature allows it to be used across various Apple devices, including the iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch, making it accessible and convenient. Seniors can benefit from the ability to say frequently used phrases, ensuring quick and efficient communication during calls. Additionally, the option to create a personalized voice adds a touch of individuality, making interactions more personal and engaging. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Comments or questions?
Well, yeah, the like create your personal voice. I thought part of the I thought part of the plus for this was not having my voice come across. Have another type of voice. I wonder if you could download like James Earl Jones or something and have him read those phrases.
I don't know if that's even legal.
Oh, okay.
How about Mr. T?
Mr. T? Ooh, I pitied the fool.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't really, she was talking exactly about me. It was all about me.
How
And
so?
I like the information.
Yeah,
The
it's
more
kind of like a reverse dictation.
the more I can have that thing do it for me, the better I'll be off. I have a problem with speech as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't notice that. But this sounds like what Stephen Hawking had, with his computer, that he could put in all the
Yeah.
phrases,
Yeah,
words.
yeah, probably.
And if this had been available earlier, he would have had a more natural, his own voice instead of a
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah, I always kind of wondered how he did that.
You must have a lot of it ready ahead of time.
Yeah.
All right. On to questions and answers and social hour.
John, did you say you had a couple of questions? Are you here, John?
Questions related to any of the videos, or we'll move on to general Q&A. We'll start a new recording.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say bye-bye, YouTube people. DVMUG members, you want to find the rest of the meeting with general Q&A, you can find the link on the BBS. And we'll